Question 16. Philosopher. Nations are not literally persons. They have no thoughts or feelings, and literally speaking, they perform no actions. Thus, they have no moral rights or responsibilities. But no nation can survive unless many of its citizens attribute such rights and responsibilities to it, for nothing else could prompt people to make the sacrifices national citizenship demands. Obviously, then, a nation blank. So we notice clearly this is an argument completion question. Which one of the following most logically completes the philosopher's argument? Logically completes. Again, looking for what follows logically, so what must be true based on the other parts of the passage. So let's go back and take a closer look at what the passage told us. And you notice that the first part of the passage is telling us that nations have no moral rights or responsibilities. So if you are a nation, you have no moral rights or responsibilities. It then tells us, but no nation can survive unless many of its citizens attribute such rights and responsibilities to it. So again, we know unless introduces necessary, so our necessary condition would be moral rights and responsibilities attributed to nations. And our sufficient condition would be the other part of the statement negated, no nation can survive, would become survive. So if a nation survives, it's because its citizens are attributing moral rights and responsibilities to it. But we know that nations can't have moral rights and responsibilities from the first part of the passage. So now, keeping that in mind, let's turn our attention to the answer choices and find the answer that logically completes this argument. A. Cannot continue to exist unless something other than the false belief that the nation has moral rights motivates its citizens to make sacrifices. And you notice that that does not follow logically. We know that in order for a nation to survive, its citizens must attribute moral rights and responsibilities to it. But A is saying it can't continue to survive unless something other than this false belief motivates them, which clearly does not follow from the passage, so A would be eliminated. Moving to B, cannot survive unless many of its citizens have some beliefs that are literally false. And again, you notice unless introduces necessary, so beliefs that are literally false would be our necessary condition. Also, now the other part of the statement negated would be our sufficient condition. Cannot survive becomes can survive. So if a nation survives, its citizens must have some beliefs that are literally false. Would that logically complete this passage? And you notice from the passage, we know that for a nation to survive, its citizens must attribute moral rights and responsibilities to the nation. But we know that it's impossible for a nation to have moral rights and responsibilities, at least literally speaking. You notice the second sentence. So then, since for a nation to survive, citizens must attribute moral rights and responsibilities to the nation, but nations can't have moral rights and responsibilities, at least literally speaking. Therefore, a nation cannot survive unless many of its citizens have some beliefs that are literally false. Again, the belief that is literally false is that nations have moral rights and responsibilities. So B logically completes the passage, so B would be the correct answer. But again, let's make sure checking C can never be a target of moral praise or blame. And when do we discuss moral praise or blame? How could C logically complete the passage? D, it is not worth the sacrifices that its citizens make on its behalf. Clearly not where this passage is headed. So how could D be a logical completion? And then lastly, E should always be thought of in metaphorical rather than literal terms, and clearly not structured to lead to that conclusion. E does not follow logically, would not logically complete the passage, so E would be eliminated.